All right, so let's continue. So instead of being a hype video, which was I ended up switching lanes and going back to personal economics, and this is basically a sequel video. I was having so much fun that I wanted to do a part two. Um, life to me is just like a gamble. There's times when people might look at me and be like, the type of girls that have had crushes on you, or the type of girls that you've dated, or whatnot. Do you understand that they were very financially well off? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so what's wrong with you, right? That kind of thing. And it's like, well, it's not nothing wrong with me. Here's a common thing, and this is one thing that I do want to talk about, is that there's a lot of people who get university degrees. And there's even people, they get a specialized degree. Somebody gets a degree in, let's say, teaching, high school teaching. And they go, you know what? I hate this job. This is not for me. You know what? I'm going to go back to school and start a whole different other job. Right? So it doesn't really, at the end of the day, you could end up in a bad spot, but it's just because you're in a bad spot. For me, that's normal for me, because my entire life, I've had a few moments where when things might have been really great or really high. I've had bad, low moments. I've been everywhere, and I've done everything on every level, so for me, it's not really a big deal. I don't, I'll tell you one thing. I don't really cry. I'm not a crier. I know there's people that cry every night or every week or everything something bad happens, and that's not something that I do. And it's not because I was taught that way, it's because that was who I was. I really go like, is it really worth it to cry because you want something better that somebody else has? Because I've never in my life cried over envy. I've never, even when I was a little kid, if I saw a kid with a lot of stuff, I'd be like, hey, that's good for you, man. I never talk shit about it. I'd be like, man, that's really good for you, man. You really got like really nice parents, or you got a really nice life, man. That's good for you, man. You know what I mean? The kids are like 15 years old. They can't even get a license, and their parents are already buying them new cars to drive, and they're actually driving them around. So I never had that happen for me. But so part of my pride is also about, and I've talked about this in the initial video, was how, or the series of videos, was how there is a bragging, what do they call it? Bragging right. There is bragging rights to starting from the bottom and going up high on your own, or doing it independently. Because I know that there's a lot of people out there that just don't, I won't say lie, but they like to rephrase it. So there's people out there who's let's say they came from a rich family, right? And they don't talk about it at all. They go, oh, I had nothing on but a backpack, went to Dubai, and I'm talking about, okay, let's not talk about specific people, but people will say, I had nothing, I went to Switzerland and I started from the bottom, and I'm a billionaire. And they always say that. And it's not exactly true, because a lot of these people, their families gave them like the best money for the best education at the best university, even in a foreign country, or like the best country that they could go to university for. They went and got their degree. The family set them up with some kind of start money, like let's say 100 grand, 200 grand. Some people laugh at me when I say 100 grand. They start laughing like, oh man, that's nothing, man. 100 grand startup money, dude. I get like 10, 12 million when I first started, but look at it this way. All these people become really rich and they become successful. They don't want to say that, yeah, I came from money. We don't live in that world anymore. Back in the days, the world we lived in was, well, I came from money. I am success. I am this. Hell yeah, my parents paid my way. My family's a shit. We got a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. And that was like that back in the days, especially for the upper class. But today it's a different situation. Everybody, doesn't matter how much money you came from, everybody's like, yo, I came from the bottom. There's so many successful rappers out there, and people don't know this. People look at them and they go, rapper, he must have been really ghetto, man. Probably came up really hard. And it's like, if only you knew how rich that guy was. If only you knew that guy was a rich kid before he even got into rap. He was already a rich kid. French Montana, he had a video, like this old video was black and white, and it was about a girl or something. And it's funny because at the end of the video, he wakes up Like he was in a dream, dreaming that he was in a music video. He wakes up in his friend's convenience store, and his friend's like, "Get up, man, start mopping the place." And then he goes and he starts mopping the place on video. You know what I mean? Like, you see what I'm saying? True Life, you know, until he came out with Yanya and that video where he had Ferraris and all the money, you know, True Life would, I mean, all his songs in the 90s were about being in the hood. All the videos that he made were in the hood. All those rap videos he made, those vintage rap videos in the 90s, they were in the hood. That infamous Beef video, that was him hanging out in the hood. He used to talk about how he didn't have money and all that stuff, and he had to, you know, hustle and rob and all that shit. You know what I mean? And it's funny because that's who I really was, you know. But the funny, and I'll be honest with you, the thing about me was I detested criminal activity. When I was younger, I detested anything criminal. I felt like everything should be legit. So I got a job when I was 15 at a grocery store as a cashier. You know, that was the only place that hired me. And you know why they hired me? They were doing like a little math test, and I was just like, brrr, I had really okay, so here's the funny thing about me. Mental math, I can do really easily, really fast. Like faster than 99% of people. But I'll tell you something, and this is true, I do not know till this day, and I never learned, I do not know how to do long division. Okay, they taught long division in 5th grade. Every kid learned to do long division. I never learned to do long division. Because what I did was, if it was like 500 divided by 23, I would just multiply 23 by, I would estimate, be like, how many times do I multiply 23 to get as close to 500 as I can? And then I would fill the gap. Okay, so I don't know how to do long division. I don't know how to do long multiplication either. I don't know how to, I know how to do adding and subtracting. I don't know how to do that. Okay, and I'm very good. I was so good at mental math that I was faster than the teacher at doing times tables, at multiplying random numbers. I was faster than our teacher who had been teaching it for 40 years. You know, but to this day, I cannot do long division, and I cannot do long multiplication, which 10-year-olds can do. Okay, but I did get a high school diploma, by the way. Okay, so you know that's like, I mean, True Life was talking about all this stuff, but I'm not trying to brag here. And honestly, if I was bragging, you know what I would be saying? Oh, I was a guy that True Life was claiming to be. Oh, I was robbing. But I wasn't doing all that. I'll be honest with you. I was working jobs. There were times when I like even thought about stealing, and I was like, oh, man, I can't do that. You know, I don't want to steal, man. Fuck all that shit. I didn't do that. You know, the only crime that I'd ever been charged for was when I was 24, and it was for robbing a bank, which I robbed successfully. No die packs, no GPS tracker, no nothing. Got the bank manager with a gun to his head to print the money. Anyways, we won't go into all the details, but you know, that's what I did, and that's how I ended up in jail. But you know, I mean, it's just being realistic. You know, I can't believe that they actually want me to be scared to talk about this stuff. Like, they want to intimidate me into how dare you talk about that? It's like, that's ridiculous, man. Like, why would there's no shame in that. You come up and you come up, man. There's no shame in that. Because, I'll tell you a story. I was with, and I think I said this before, I was with like some rich kids in Dubai, right? I was hanging out with these rich kids in Dubai. And they were checking something, and you know, and they go, and the guy found out that the airline that I was gonna go on was a third party. Like, I didn't buy it from Emirates. I bought the flight that I got. I bought it from a third party website, right? Like, I didn't even go on Emirates. I went on what they considered to be a lower airline to Dubai, right? And you know, the guy really, you know, he actually said that to me when. He went, nah, man. He tried calling them to adjust something. And he goes, no, man, we can't. That's some third party shit. Made it really clear to me. And after that day, he never called me again, or he didn't hang out with me again. Okay, so I didn't see that guy again. I didn't see any of those guys ever again. And I have no issue with rich kids. I really have no issue. But the truth is, like, I don't see myself hanging out with rich kids in my life. You know what I mean? That's not something that's gonna happen, and that's not something that, like I said, I could go to a party, see people, be familiar with people, be nice to people. I've been around rich people before, or whatever the case is here and there. But I've never been rich, and it's funny. It's really funny. It's really funny. I mean, True Life. I see his new video, and he had a video, and he was like, "Oh, my mom's or my abuela, my grandmother. I'm in the hood. I'm back in the hood, talking to my grandmother, giving her some money. She tells him, be careful before you go out there. It's dangerous. And, he goes out there and everything. And he's trying to show all that stuff. But I mean, True Life never talked about how he made his money. Nobody even knew what he was worth or anything. You know what I mean? Nobody had any idea about him in any way. But again, like, you should not, not only should you not feel intimidated, you shouldn't let others intimidate you. Don't let somebody intimidate you into publicly or talking about getting a shitty job. Don't feel bad about that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that the best people work shitty jobs or the best people are rich. I'm not saying any of that. But the truth is that if you really want to be successful, you have to start somewhere. It's like when it's like when young people go and do weightlifting. The truth is, you may only be able to curl 20-pound dumbbells. You may only be able to bench press 100 pounds. You can only bench press 100 pounds, and you go, why the hell would I go to the gym and bench press 100 pounds when all the guys there are benching 250 to 400? You know what I mean? All like the typical guys are benching at least 200. And I'm going to start by doing 100. I'm going to get laughed at for like 4 months until I'm able to do it. Until I'm able to bench that much. You know what I mean? But the truth is that's how you start. For me, and I'll be honest with you, even if I was, and everybody knows this about me, even when I was 14 years old, I was skinny as fuck. I went to the gym. I think I was curling like 10-pound dumbbells. You know what I mean? And I did get, people were kind of laughing about it or looking at me. They really weren't. I mean, they may have been, but it wasn't bothering me in any way. And I did whatever I did and I left. But, the point is that, like, what are you going to do? You have to start somewhere. What are you going to say? I don't want to start. I'm embarrassed to start. I am embarrassed to start. You know what I mean? I want to hide from the world. I am embarrassed to start. I am embarrassed of myself about how I grew up or whatnot. I mean, why would you want to do that? There's really no need to do it. You got to start somewhere. So you start with your first available option. And then you look for a better opportunity as you complete it. That's the way the world is supposed to work. You start from level 1, you move to level 2, and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. But you have to start. If you don't start, you're just going to I think there's a saying, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And that just says it all right there. You have to start somewhere. I don't know, because I've never been like hanging out with rich kids or anything like that, and I told you, I looked at myself and I'm like, dude, I look broke. Like, I don't look like I'm a rich guy or anything like that by any means. That doesn't mean that I'm telling people don't become rich. Rich people are faggots. I'm not saying that. I'm actually saying that I want to become rich one day. But in order to become rich one day, I have to be realistic, and I have to go with, the first step that seems feasible for me in order to get to that point. Like I said, I don't know what I'm being pressured. It's crazy. One day guys are making fun of you. Let's say they're saying you're home. I had a comment on one of my videos where I showed my reflection, and somebody wrote, I think this was in June. Someone made a comment and they said, homeless guy getting ready. You know what I mean? Did I reply to the guy? I may have replied to, but I didn't attack him or anything like that. If you think I'm homeless, I really don't care. But it's funny because nobody was saying anything. Then I got like 6 comments when I posted one video. It's crazy. And it's like, just because you could see my face, and girls look at me and go, well, this guy is super good looking. You know what I mean? Not only am I super good looking, but I got swag. I always maintain I wouldn't even say gangster, but just some form of that. You know what I mean? I got my pride. I know I'm very good looking. I know I can play soccer better than, just as good as a Premier League player that just started and he's making, 1.5 million euros a year. And I know I can play just as good as him. You know what I mean? Let me get to part 3.